I decided to go back and do this video over again because this video does not need to be long. The other video I felt was too long. But this is a video about Egypt and is a great deal response to Metatron. And I'm just using a whole bunch of images and just going to talk about the images and just blitzkrieg through them. Um, because like I said, I do not want this video to be long. But after going back, and the reason I'm decided to make this video over again is because after going back and just looking through the images, and I scour through the internet. I have so many images. I mean, I'm like, what are we really talking about here? Why is this even up for debate? So let's begin. First image is the image of North Africa, parts of North Africa. You can see it's like basically the middle part of the Maghreb, and it's just ancient riverbeds that they found there because this goes back to the whole, there was no sub-Saharan Africa. North Africa was lush and wet, and it was savanna, and that's why you had all of those, animals in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs like hippos and crocodiles and giraffes and zebras and rhinoceros and lions and all these animals that you see in the savannah. Like you'd have to go to like Kenya, to see them now. But that speaks to the fact that again, black Africans were in that region. So when the Arabs try to come through and they try to make these arguments like, no, 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 there's a magical line that is the desert, and only Arabs that have to wear clothing in order to cover their skin are the ones that were in North Africa, right? Even though we look at the ancient Egyptians and they're all walking around with no shirt on, but the Arabs got to be covered up because they'll get sunburn. Anyway, this other image is an image of a cave that's in Algeria, of all places. And if you zoom in and you look at the face of the image, you can clearly see that that's a black African face with subnasal prognathism, right? And then there's other images, on the cave paintings, right? And these images go back, what is this? 12,000 year old images, 12,000 to 9,000 year old images, right? Then I have a map of the different kingdoms of Africa, where you can see Kush, you can see Kemet, you can see Punt, right, which is now like modern day Somalia and Tanzania, and those are areas, right. But the other thing is there's this you know the Arabs are the Egyptian Arabs are so intellectually dishonest because they go out here and they grab all these images of these of what they consider to be these Asiatic Egyptians. We don't even know who these people are. They're like they could be scribes. They're just random images. And nobody's saying that these people were not in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt was like the New York City of the ancient world, right? Other people are going to come there. They're going to trade, right? They're going to there's going to be conflict. They're going to fight, battle, all that other stuff, right? So nobody's saying these people weren't there, but ancient Egypt. The whole conversation is about ancient Egypt being rooted in a black civilization. Okay, the culture, the identity. It's a black civilization, and all these people came through, and they added to it, or they acclimated themselves to the black African culture that was ancient Egypt. It did not originate with Asiatics like they like to claim. But here's some of the images that the Arab Egyptians like to throw up, and they'd be like, oh, look how white they are. Oh, look at them, and yes, and this is us, right? And then they keep using this image of this. And I don't know who this actor is, but you can see the transition in the later periods, like difference between Old Kingdom and New Kingdom. And even in the New Kingdom, there black pharaohs in the New Kingdom. But I'm saying, you can see that, as these, other groups started to come in, the Arabs started coming in, and then or the Assyrians, right, the Near Easterners, the Asiatics, they started to come in. The Europeans came in. You started seeing the art kind of changed like this Greco-Roman, look. The image that they have of Anubis. I mean, this is just like a bastardized image, of Anubis. It's like, I'm like, what the hell did they do to Anubis? Right? Here's another image of what looks to be like, clearly a very fair skinned woman, but you can tell by the quality, the painting, the artwork, that this is not the ancient Egypt in its original Kemetic state. This is not what you're looking at, right? And what kills me is the Arabs, that they love this. They love this image of this guy because they think that he looks like Akhenaten, right? Which he kind of does, right? He kind of does. But see, this is where we get into the clear anti-blackness and the concept that every black person must look like Wesley Snipes or Idi Amin or this Niger Congo concept, right? Because freaking Akhenaten, of all the people, of all the Egyptians, right? Notice how they showed you all those white Egyptians that they just showed, but of all the Egyptians that they could throw up there, they throw up Akhenaten with this Arab looking dude to try to make the claim. Oh, see, ancient Egyptians, Asiatic. Akhenaten's parents. Akhenaten is a part of probably the blackest dynasty, the Tutankhamun family tree, the blackest dynasty in ancient Egypt. Okay, they literally just grabbed the blackest one because this dude has a long ass face. Like, there's no black people with long ass faces. When his mother, as you can see from the tree, is Queen T, right? Which we've all seen the black bust with her afro, right? Or her hairstyle styled in afro, which I'm going to touch on in a second, right? And her father was Amenhotep, or excuse me, his father was Amenhotep III. Akhenaten's mother was Queen T, and Akhenaten's father was Amenhotep, the third. Akhenaten's important because Akhenaten is the one that supposedly, kicked off monotheism. Okay, and I don't know what was going on. The Egyptian royal families were ancestral, and the Tutankhamun family was ancestral. So I don't know what was going on with Akhenaten's body shape, but if you notice, Akhenaten's body shape is slightly different than the way that all the other pharaohs, are depicted. It was like he intentionally said, "No, show me with my pot belly." To me, it just looks like somebody that has like Klinefelters or something like that. But anyway, here's a picture of a younger version of his father, Amenhotep III. You can clearly see the black ass features in his face, but again, you'll have the Arabs be like, "Oh, and look at Akhenaten, the blackest man the most Arab man in the world." No, okay. Here's another image, stone image of Amenhotep III. And I'm gonna get to talking about the lip line in a second. Another image of Amenhotep III, another image of Amenhotep III, another image of Amenhotep III, painting of Amenhotep III. Then you have this is a Tutankhamun, King Tut, depicted as he depicted himself. Not that National Geographic white man that they threw on the cover. This is what King Tut looked like. This is what they found in his tomb. But yet they'll run around and they'll be like, "Oh no, King Tut, his look was a white man." Again, side profile of Akhenaten. Again, you can see the subnasal prognathism. Here's more images. There's Amenhotep III at the top, and then there's King Tut, his grandson, at the bottom with his sarcophagus. Then here's Queen T. This is Amenhotep III's wife. Okay, this is Akhenaten's mother. So where do they get this Arab dude to be like, "Oh yeah, see, look, this Arab dude looks like Akhenaten," and you'll see this all over. Like, these Arabs, these Egyptian Arabs, don't even do the basic research. When they go up there, they just literally look and they assume, oh, a phenotype. Black people look like this cartoon caricature of big lips and big nose, and us Arabs, we got pointy ass faces. And Akhenaten, he's the one, and they try to grab him. But clearly, you can see that his mother, doesn't have, the widest bridge nose, right? But they like to grab the image. Here's an image of a North African woman, right? And you can clearly see, right? You can see that's Queen T, right? In her mummified form, right? You can see, her texture of hair, and you can see this black woman in the image, who's I don't know where she's one of the Beja people or whether she's of the the Bedouin people, but clearly you can see that she has similarities to Queen T, right? Then the next image is again the pharaohs that they love to hide. This is Senusret the second, right? I think it's the second. Senusret the second, right? I mean, we can all see what his face looks like, right? We can all see what he looks like. He was the fourth pharaoh of the 12th dynasty, right? They again completely ignore. See, the whole argument is it's not about like when the Arabs go out here and they try to push all these images, but nobody. What's funny is the Arabs didn't try to challenge any of the Eurocentric images that white people put up there of ancient Egyptians. It wasn't until you had the Afrocentrists speaking up on it, saying, "Hey, that's not what these people are depicted like. They're actually black African people." That the Arab Egyptians started going crazy. And again, there's billions of dollars that are involved in ancient Egypt and tourism and all that other stuff. They want to claim its greatness, all of that. Right. And so, if it was found that these people are not that and that they're Arab invaders from the 7th century, that changes everything. I mean, they're running around talking about a history that is not their history. Here's the next image. This is the image of the hieroglyph for face. For face. Again, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Right? Here's another pharaoh, Mentuhotep II. What are we talking about here? Again, another hieroglyph of face. Okay, clearly a Negroid face. What are we talking about here? Here's a bust of, I believe this is like King Tut's aunt, right? And there's several the bust. I don't know if it's his aunt or his sister. I think it's his aunt. But in any event, right? You see the face, okay? And then again another image of Senusret II. And then you have this image of this pharaoh, right? And this is the typical. I put this image in here because this is the typical quintessential face that the Arabs want to claim, right? They want to claim all ancient Egyptians look like this dude right here. And again, we can't see anything from this image because there are East Africans that look like this, that are black East Africans, and I'm going to get into that in a second. Here's another image of this this pharaoh. I don't know who this pharaoh is, okay? But clearly we can see that this pharaoh is favoring either a European or a Assyrian or Near Easterner. And again, nobody's saying that there were not any Near Easterner or we know during the Hellenistic period and the Ptolemaic dynasty that the Greeks came in there later and they were the ruling class. Okay, this is the whole thing about Cleopatra and how she was a Greek Macedonian, and again I've already got on black people's asses about you saying it being historically inaccurate to say that freaking Cleopatra was black when again there's so many other black pharaohs and kings and queens to point to. Why are you caught up on Cleopatra? It's dumb. It makes you look stupid and foolish, and the Arabs are taking that and they're running with that, right? But one of the things I wanted to talk about was the lip line, right? As you can see, black Africans have this lip line that is very prominent, on black Africans. You see it on Amenhotep, the third. Again, look at it again. Right, Amenhotep III, right? You see this lip line, and you see it on many of the statues where there's like this extra like layer of tissue around the lip, right? You know how like white women when they're doing their lips, they always try to make it look like their lips are bigger and more prominent and have like a defined line around their lip. Black people have that naturally. Okay, and you see that depicted in the statues. All you got to do is look at it, Amenhotep III's, a statue, or even Ramses' statue. But anyway, moving on. Now we're getting into talking about hair texture because again, a lot of Arabs and white people have this. Black people only look like West African people from the Congo. They can't look like anything else, despite the fact that Africa is the cradle, of human genetics, and Black African people are the most diverse people on the planet because we are the first people and everybody else comes from us. Anyway, I'm saying when you look at this young lady here, she's getting her hair done. Clearly does not have 4C hair. Here's another woman getting her hair done. Look at the texture of her hair. I don't know what it is with white people and Arab people that think that black people only have one texture of hair. Okay, here's another woman, right? Look at her hair. Okay, another woman, look at her hair, look at the texture, look at the smooth waviness of the hair. So they go and they see these mummies, and if they don't have literally an afro, they're like, oh, clearly must be an Arab woman, clearly must be a white woman. And I'm like, no, wrong. Again, here's some East African model. We see how she looks, falls right into that category of Queen T, right? And her mummified remains. Here's another East African woman, two East African women with their hair, and you can see, again, not 4C hair texture. Here's another woman, and the thing is what I'm trying to speak to here is the cultural continuity. Right? The cultural continuity with the style of dress, the style of clothes, the jewelry that they put in their hair, all of that. Okay? The Arabs are not doing that. Okay? Again, this is black African culture that you're looking at. And these folks want to deny it. And again, even talking about people getting displaced, again, North America, 1,000 years ago was full of Native Americans. But today, North America is full of white people. And again, if you go and it's just so stupid. 1,000 years from now, somebody will dig up a cemetery in New York and a cemetery in Brooklyn and find a bunch of Italian bones and be like, oh my God, see, this was an Italian civilization, and it's like, no, actually it was Native American first, but they got wiped out and displaced. Right? Here's another woman. We can clearly see she does not have 4C hair, black African woman. Right? Here's another woman, again, and I forget what group this is. I want to say it's the Beja people, if I'm not mistaken. They like this deep purple scar. They like to rock this deep purple, sort of color, right? Here's a North Sudanese man, right? Look at his hair. Look at his hair. Look at them curly fries in his hair. Okay? Look how black he is. Okay? Again, here's another Sudanese man. Look at his hair. Okay, here's another man. Look at his hair, right? Oh, we're starting to get into the style of the ancient Egyptians. Again, cultural continuity, right? Here's another man. I think this man might be Ethiopian. I'm not 100% sure. I just wanted to show you that, again, the whole area has people that look like this with hair that does not look like 4C hair. Right? But even still, in ancient Egypt, you had people who had 4C hair. Here's a ancient wooden carving, that clearly depicts a black man with an afro. Here's another East African man with an afro who does have 4C hair. Right? And here's two East African men, who have that widow's peak, style of afro that you can find all throughout Egypt on statues and wooden carvings and everything, right? Here's a young girl, again, look at her features, look at her hair, again, East Africa. The Arabs want to ignore all of this. Or my favorite is when they're like, oh, Nubia. You know what I'm saying? Anything that isn't like that white Arab skin, they'll be like Nubia. That's their like dismissive card, right? So again, here we go into I don't know what you would call this, plaited hair or layered hair. It's a very popular style in ancient Egyptian, and it's still a popular style amongst the East African black people that still live there today. Again, cultural continuity. Right? Here's an East African man, and you can see his hair. Northeast Africa, same hair as the ancient Egyptians, same skin complexion as the ancient Egyptians. Right? Here's again same styling depicted on some what do you call that shit? What do you call that? A relief. Okay, and then here's another one, same image, same hair texture. Again, going back to the women, another painting of a woman, again, look at the frizzy hair texture, right? You see the hair texture, that intermediate hair texture. It's not white people, it's not black people, it's not 4C, right? And then here's a guy with a gazelle over his shoulder, right? This is clearly a black person. It's clearly a black person. What are we arguing here, right? Again, more ancient Egyptians with their layered hair, walking outside in the damn sun, of ancient Egypt. Arabs, they got to cover up, but let them tell it. They're the original people. They've always been there, right? Again, more images, sitting on a throne, right? And then, I showed these images before of these headrests, right? I think the third image, it was found in King Tut's tomb, but headrests. This is clearly African. It's clearly African. Why do black people rock headrests? Why do they wear headrests? They wear headrests because black people tend to wear these extravagant hairstyles, twists, and everything, just like you saw with the plait of hair, and they don't want to mess their hair up. Okay, and some people just the sleeping, and it was so funny is you go on TV now and you see all these images, these commercials where they're trying to create square pillows. Oh, well, let's create a square pillow so that because if you look at the angle between your head and your shoulder when you're sleeping at night, it's not in the shape of a soft fluffy pillow, it's in the shape of a square. How many of us fold a pillow at night so that we can support our damn head? That is why Africans so cleverly came up with the headrest. Sure, it looks uncomfortable, but I'm pretty sure after a while you would get used to it. Just like Vietnam vets got used to sleeping on the floor, and then when they came back to the States, they couldn't sleep on a comfortable bed anymore. They said it was too soft, so they would get up out of bed and sleep on the floor. I know at least one veteran who for I think it was like 6 months he preferred to sleep on the floor than sleep in a bed because of his deployment. Right, but clearly you can see these are black African men. Right, again, more pictures of the women. You can see the cultural continuity with the style of clothes, the art, the head jewelry, all of that. Here's the ancient Egyptian necklaces, right? That again, like that whole ringed neck thing that they wear. I guess you want to call it a necklace. You see that throughout Africa. It is African in style. It is African in origin. But yet here comes the Arabs trying to claim it, even though they don't have headrest in the Near East. They don't have these neck ring necklaces. These almost like a chest plate. They don't have those in the Near East. Again, here's another woman, with the jewelry on her head. Here's another woman with the jewelry. Again, cultural continuity, right? Again, this is I think it's like a further south. Like this might be even in like Tanzania. This necklace, I don't know where this necklace is from, but I was demonstrating the cultural continuity of this style of self beautification, jewelry. Here's a man. Actually, I don't know if that's a man or a woman, but here is a person. With the neck. I think that's a woman. Is a person with the jewelry around their neck. Right. Here's another Bedouin. Hit that deep purple again. Beja people or Bedouin people. If it's not the Beja people, somebody correct me. Because I collected all these images and I didn't get a chance to save, every detail of every image. Here's another, again, the artwork, the headdress, the hair, the depiction. Notice the big earrings, okay, the big circular earrings that you see in other women, right? Then again, here's another deep purple. I believe it's a Beja woman again, and then here's her man, not her man, but one of her people. Right, and we can clearly see, with his wide bridge nose, that he is a black African man. You see what I'm saying? Like when Egypt fell, whenever it fell, all these people dispersed. You got to think the 7th century, the Arabs come in there, right? You already didn't have the Greeks come in there, the Syrians come in there, all these groups come in there, right? And then not only that, the area is drying up because now we're probably, we're well past that. The end of the younger dryas period, and the earth is heated up and all that other good stuff, and the Sahara is now the desertification is taking place, right? There's no more, like even today, like Lake Chad has significantly shrunk even within modern times because of desertification, right? So here you have, this man, and I'm saying again, the cultural continuity of these people leaving. Maybe they don't want to convert to Islam. Maybe they don't want to deal with the Arabs, so they flee and they move, westward and just become a nomadic people, right? Again, another depiction of ancient Egyptian art, and a woman, she's obviously, went quail hunting and pulled something. I don't know, those plants that float on the river. I don't know if those are lily pads or they look like some type of water blossom, but she's got those. Right, here's another woman, that's depicted with her jewelry, right? Again, more of these women sitting around. I think I already used that image already. Again, another woman. We can see that she does not have 4C hair. Clearly a black woman. Okay. Again, I'm just more images of women dancing. I'm showing the cultural continuity. You can see it. It's right in front of your eyes. But yet somehow the Arabs come through, and claim, no, we're the original people, right? And another woman, another two women. I think these women are from Ethiopia, right? But again, I'm showing the cultural continuity of the entire region. Okay, so here you got an image that this is a Kemet queen. This is what she wants to say. All the Egyptians, they look like this. This is what Egyptians look like. Picture that white skin walking around in the heat of the Egyptians. Like, if you don't get out of here with that garbage, right? Now let's get into the white people and Arab people's favorite subject. Ooh, slavery or imprisonment or bondage, right? So what they love to do is they love to show you these images, right? These are I don't even know whether these are Nubians or these are folks that are further down south. Okay. And, some of them you'll see pictures of them paying homage, to the ancient Egyptians, right? And here's the funny thing, right? Again, Africa has all different type of people living there. And yet, like, it's like everything is always black on black crime until we get to ancient Egypt, right? Everybody is allowed to fight with themselves or fight with their cousins or, people that have, some sort of cultural connection to them, except for black people. Then it turns into something racial, and then the people want to claim that the group that they want to identify with is not black, and that the blacker looking people, that there was racism, modern day racism was the motivation, in ancient times, right? And so here's another image. This is the image of Ramses, and he's actually standing on and stepping on. These are Assyrians that he's fighting in this picture, right? Then there's another picture. You see, they want to show you the image of the black Africans that are in bondage and in slavery, and they got the slave bells or whatever, the captive bells, right? War, conflict, all that stuff, right? Just like any city state is going to have enemies to that state, right? But they don't, these Arabs and the white people, they don't want to show you the pictures of the Assyrians that are in the same position, right? They'll try to show you the picture of these shoes, and they'll be like, oh, look, there's Nubians on them. The Egyptians are stepping on Nubians because they didn't identify with black people because they're not black, even though on the shoes are also depicted Assyrians, right? Here's another image. Both of these shoes have images of Assyrians on it. There's no Nubians on the cutout for these shoes, right? Then this is just another of the same image. I was trying to get a better image or get closer, but one side basically the shoe is showing a Nubian or a black person that's further south of Nubia on the shoe, and then it's showing on the other side, and they're back to back. It's showing an image of an Assyrian. Right, here's another image that you can clearly see, and this is clearly a later period. This is copying. This is copying. This is what you would call cultural appropriation. So we can see the Greco-Roman artwork and it being an imitation of previous pharaohs' depictions of those that are not from the place, of Egypt, right? Or that they see as outsiders, which would be any region further south in Africa, which clearly the people are going to be blacker, and then the people in the Near East. Clearly, there was mixing going on with wars and conflict and trade and all of that. Clearly, there was mixing. But again, the civilization is rooted in a black culture. A black civilization is not rooted in a Near Eastern civilization. Here's another picture of sandals. Same thing. Both of them are on the sandals. Right, and then here's a picture of Ramses II, because Ramses II. The reason why Ramses II is such a popular pharaoh and known and all that shit has nothing to do with Moses and the stories of the Bible and all that shit. Nothing to do with that. No, it's because Ramses II went out there and had campaigns outside of Egypt. Right, and so like the racists will jump up and they'll see the picture of Ramses, on his chariot, and clearly, he's attacking, the people that are further south, the black Africans that are further south, that many of which are going to be black, they're going to be blacker. But notice how Ramses II on this chariot is the same color as some of the black Africans depicted. Some of them are very dark skinned, some of them are brown skinned, right? Some of them have the same color as Ramses. Right, which is ironically the same color as the damn horse, right? But so the idea that Egyptians didn't make any distinction of color, is false. But that does not mean that they held, the same racist belief. If you are the racist beliefs that are held today by white supremacists and Arab supremacists, if you were an op, you were an op. Again, like I said, it's black on black violence until we get to ancient Egypt. Then all of a sudden, it's got to be something else, right? Here's those same people that Ramses is shooting at with the feather in their head, right? Or actually, no, these are the picture is of people further south. But again, we've seen the people with the feather in their head because they're the same people that are depicted in an earlier image. Let me see if I can move this up so that you can see. These are people that are depicted in an earlier image. Oh, I already have it. Okay, these are people that are depicted in an earlier image, and you can see they have that single feather, sticking out the top of their head. But notice how they come in different colors. Notice how the Egyptians are at the front, and then you have the people with the feather in their head, they're in the back, and they got the hoop earrings, right? And notice how they're all different shades and colors. Right, so whatever beef they had, it might have just been a war, it might have just been a conflict, it might have just been like, hey, we don't want to pay taxes. Who the fuck knows what it was about? But again, there's when you have the picture like this, and people are different colors and different shades, and they're there, and they're obviously paying homage to somebody. The racist concepts that the Arabs have and the white people have, they don't hold up. But this is what they want to showcase and claim, like, oh, the racism of ancient times is the same as the racism today, right? Again. Here's another image of, again, the Egyptians with the plaited hair, the layered hair, and clearly you have black Africans that are from further south. Okay, now I don't know whether this is a slave auction or whether they're doing a prison count, right? But you see it as depicted in the picture, and see the white supremacists, they'll jump up and they'll be like, yeah, see, look, right? But then, again, they don't want to show you the next picture. They don't want to show you this picture. You know what I'm saying? What is this about? Right? Again, all these people in this image, they're not black Africans. They're Assyrians that were captured and have slave bells around their neck, like what you saw in the movie Django, so that when you try to run away, they can hear your ass, just like a damn cow. Why cows have cowbells, right? Here's another depiction, and this is the battle of, I want to say it's the battle of Dapur, and this is in Syria. So I think he's fighting the Hittites in this image again. And I don't know if this is like obviously it's like a reprint of an image. But again, Ramses depicted as the same color, as, the other Egyptians, but not the same color as the people in Syria that he's fighting. But yet again, the Near Easterners want to tell you that, oh, Ramses II and the ancient Egyptians, they were Near Easterners. Not how again the Egyptians were depicting themselves. Okay, then you have the another picture of this is, I believe, the Battle of Kadesh, and this is Ramses II, again, not the same color as the Hittites that he's fighting here in this image and trampling over with his chariot. Not the same color. You know what I mean? Like, it's just amazing at how if the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, right, who are East Africans, if they depict themselves, a particular way that's different than the Africans that are further south from them, right? Even though they show images of, when they're, all together in different colors and different shades, the Arabs and the white people are quick to be like, see, they don't identify with them, right? But how do you say that the ancient Egyptians identified with the Assyrians, when clearly you can see that they depicted themselves differently than the Assyrians? Syrians always had like the beard and shit. Here's another image, of Ramses, trampling over, with some Hittites, and I think there was another group, the Hyokos or Hyakio, I don't know, Hyokos or something like that. It was another, Near Eastern, group that he was not Ramses II necessarily, but that the Egyptians used to get into it all the time with. Okay. So these people that are like, Egyptians, they were a more Arab people, and they had, a loving relationship with Near Easterners, and they despised the black Africans and wanted nothing to do with the black Africans. But that's cap. That's not true. That's not true. If you were an enemy of the state, God damn it, you were an enemy of the state. Nobody cares what your favorite color is. I'm trying to maintain power. I'm Pharaoh up in this bitch. Again, black on black violence until we get to other conversations. Again, the image of Ramses and him, I guess bludgeoning to death a Assyrian. You always know the Assyrians because they always have like the beards and stuff. Here's Ramses holding, what is supposed to be representative of three different groups of people. So, and you can see, even though the image is not all that clear, you can see you have somebody who's clearly a deep dark black, like Dinka tribe complexion. Then you have somebody who's the same complexion as Ramses, and then you have somebody else, in the background, which will probably be, an Assyrian. Right? Here's a bound Nubian, right? And we know it's a Nubian because of the I believe it's the shields and the headbands, the afro, with the headbands, right? I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty positive I'm accurate on that. All right, here's another image. Here you go with the Egyptians with the plaited hair, and here you have them capturing a bunch of Assyrians, right? The Assyrians here are in bondage. The Egyptians in the depiction with the plaited hair, like we saw earlier with the black Africans with the layered plaited hair, right? Here they are, captured. Just like the other image I showed where, let me see if I can grab that image. I'm going to copy that image, bring that image over here so that you can compare them side by side. But, the image of them capturing, the obvious black Africans from further south. You see? But notice how these Egyptians, they don't look like Near Easterners. They don't look Arab. The Arabs look like the Assyrians. The Arabs have the beards, right? The Egyptians, they don't have any beards. They got the plaited hair, and they're walking around with no shirt on. The Arabs, the Assyrians, notice how they're covered up. They're in robes. They have a fabric over their shoulders. they have clothes on, where freaking the Egyptians are just wearing the I don't know what you want to call it. I want to call it like a toga or something like that. But they're just wearing, basically looks like a towel that they got out of the shower with around their waist, but they don't have any shirts on. You see? Because why? Because the sun doesn't affect them like that, because they're melanated people. Next image, right? Again, here we can see an Assyrian, and we can see, whether this is a Nubian or somebody further south who's, a deeper, darker, black, right? They recognize the distinction. Here we have some Assyrians, in or Near Easterners, getting trampled in conflict, and again, you can see, their depiction. You can see how they look. You can see the bearded faces, right? You can see the long hair in the back. And then here's another image of a blacker, pharaoh being fanned off by, some browner, Egyptians. You see, so again, the whole narrative of, like first it starts off with the Egyptians are Arab, the Egyptians are white, and then they transition and they go, no, the Egyptians, we're our own race, we're something else, and the black Africans had no part in this. Then you have the images of the black Africans ruling, and well, they were ruling and nobody liked them, and they were only here temporarily, and that's what it was, again trying to dodge, the reality of, black people come in different shades and colors. We're like the only people that come in different shades and colors like that. And here's a depiction of some, some East African boys. What's interesting is actually the one on the far right that looks like Jalen Smith, Will Smith's son. That's actually a girl, and it's funny because you can see here you have this East African girl, who looks like Jalen Smith, right? But notice how, like, we get into these arguments about, how somebody's depicted, and oh, you're you're what East African, African Americans and everything. Well, Jalen Smith is a African American and looks just like this East African girl. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, I just thought that was an interesting image. But the way that the Arabs, Metatron, all these folks try to come through, and the shit is self evident. Like, I'm done with this conversation. I'm so tired and done with this conversation. And I got images I didn't even get to use in this video. You know what I mean? But I'm so done, with this conversation. I'm like, the evidence is all over the place. It's so blatant. You know what I mean? These are the depictions and the images that, I never saw growing up. You know what I mean? The Arabs damn sure weren't trying to, show them and depict them. And yes, there are some honest Arabs out there, that they will tell you. There's people that go to the ancient Egyptian monuments, the people that hang around the monuments and whatnot, and they'll see, somebody black, and they'll be like, no, ancient Egyptians, they were you. They look like you. You look like them. They'll tell you. I've had people go on vacation and go to Egypt and shit, and they come back and they'll say shit like that. The stuff that you won't see, all over the internet. You got to go into the museum and you're like, yo, do you see this? Are you seeing this? Again, like I said, the Arabs, they don't even do their own homework, like the way that you'll see them try to grab Akhenaten. I'm like, do you know who Akhenaten's mother and father are? Did you even bother to look? No, they didn't bother to look because they're a bunch of Arab racists and Arab supremacists. Arabs, exercise, just the other arm of white supremacy, just the Islamic arm of white supremacy, because they see themselves as white nonetheless. So they'll champion whiteness before they champion, blackness. That's what they identify with. They consider themselves a part of the Caucasian race. But anyway, I'm done with this video. I said I didn't want to make it too long. I'm under an hour. That's great for me. That's my video, SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.